Hello students, welcome back to your geography class. I, Mrs. Jenny Shah, and we are doing the chapter Lifelines of National Economy. Last class we learned about pipelines and waterways. Today we will start learning about the major seaports. With a long coastline of 7,516 kilometers, India is dotted with 12 major and 181 medium and minor ports. These major ports they handle 95% of India's foreign trade. So on the coast we have 12 major and 181 medium and small ports. And those 12 major ports they handle 95% of India's foreign trade. I think we've just learned about the foreign investment in economics. You can imagine all the foreign investment that has come in the last 15 years has increased. So the amount of seaport activity that must have increased. We're talking about these ports. Kandla in Kutch. It was the first port developed soon after independence, and it was developed to ease the volume of trade on the Mumbai port. Okay, especially after we lost the Karachi port to Pakistan after the partition. So before partition, there was Karachi port and there was Mumbai port. But after partition, we needed to replace the Karachi port so that the volume of trade coming to India is not only on the Mumbai port. And so we had the Kandla port. Now, Kandla is a tidal port. It caters to the convenient handling of exports and imports of highly productive granary and industrial belt stretching across the states of Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, and Gujarat. Okay, so it basically caters to the imports and exports of granary. Next is the Mumbai port. Mumbai is the biggest port with a spacious, natural, and well sheltered harbour. The name of it is the Jawaharlal Nehru Port. It was planned with a view to decongest the Mumbai port and serve as a hub port for this region. Okay, so we have two. We have Mumbai port and we have Jawaharlal Nehru port, which is also Navshena port. Okay, now Mumbai port is the biggest port and it is spacious and it is naturally spacious and it is well sheltered. Okay, but the Jawaharlal Nehru port was again, it was planned to decongest the Mumbai port. So Mumbai port was getting lots of volume, and so Kandla and Jawaharlal Nehru port were planned. Kandla was technically to replace the Karachi port, and Jawaharlal Nehru was to decongest so that it will become a hub port for the region. Marmagua port is the premium is the premier iron ore exporting port of the country. This port alone accounts for about 50% of India's iron ore export. Then there is New Mangalore port, which is located in Karnataka, and the New Mangalore port caters to the export of iron ore concentrates from Kudremukh mine. Kochi is the extreme southwestern port and it is located at the entrance of a lagoon with a natural harbor. Now, if we go along the east coast, to the extreme southeastern port is the port of Tuticorin, and it is in Tamil Nadu. This port also has a natural harbour and a rich hinterland. Thus, it has a flourishing trade handling of large variety of cargoes to even our neighbouring countries like Sri Lanka. So what it has a flourishing trade handling of large variety of cargoes, especially with countries like Sri Lanka, Maldives, coastal regions of India. Chennai is one of the oldest artificial ports of the country. It is ranked next to Mumbai in terms of the volume of trade and cargo. Vishakhapatnam is the deepest, landlocked, and well protected port. This port was originally conceived as an outlet for iron ore exports. Paradip Port, which is located in Odisha, specializes in the export of iron ore. Kolkata is an inland riverine port. This port serves as a very large and rich hinterland of Ganga-Brahmaputra basin. Being a tidal port, it requires constant constant dredging of Hooghly. Haldia Port was developed as a subsidiary port in order to relieve growing pressure on the Kolkata port. So these are the 12 major seaports: Kandla, Mumbai, Jawaharlal Nehru, Marmagua, New Mangalore, Kochi. These were all in the west. The east is Tuticorin, Chennai, Vishakhapatnam, Paradweep, Kolkata, and Haldia. I think you all should make a sentence of some sort to remember these names. If any one of you has found an acronym or a sentence, it would be nice if you share it with me so that I can share it with the class. You should know this map. Identification can come, plotting can come. We will do the map work soon. Now going to the fastest mode of travel today, airways. It is comfortable, prestigious, and the fastest mode of travel available today. Air transport was nationalized in 1953. On the operational side, Indian Airlines, Alliance Air, private scheduled airlines, and non-scheduled operators, they provide domestic air services. Air India provides international air services. Pawan Hans, it's a helicopter limited. It provides helicopter services to oil and natural gas commission in its offshore operations, especially for inaccessible areas and difficult terrains like northeastern states and interior parts of Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, and Uttarakhand. Indian Airlines operations also extend to the neighboring countries of South and Southeast Asia and Middle East. Can you find out the names of countries connected by the Indian Airlines? So the advantages of air transport are: number one, it saves time because it's the fastest mode of travel for long distance. Next is connectivity. It is connected to the farthest places and to every terrain like high mountains, deserts, thick forests, long stretches of sea with great ease. We can cross international borders easily through air travel. It can be used in defense. It is connected to landlocked countries, and it helps in increasing trade, especially the perishable products. It also reduces the pressure on roads and railways. They are basically used in emergencies or natural calamities like floods, earthquakes, wars. They add revenue to tourism, and and it can also be used in agriculture, for spraying pesticides over a large area of land. At the same time, air travel is not within the reach of common people. It is only in the northeastern states that special provisions are made to extend the services to the common people. Affordability is the disadvantage is affordability. It cannot be affordable by everyone, by every socio-economic background. It's unserviceable, bad weather conditions. Fuel consumption is very high. Uh, Limited capacity in terms of the amount of passengers that can travel by a plane in comparison to a train. An aircraft has limited capacity. High risk to life, environmental degradation, polluting the atmosphere, and like I said, affordability. So it is very expensive because of the costly fuel. Can you find out the special provisions that are made to extend the airways to the common people in the northeastern states? So, air transport was nationalized in 1953. It can be divided into two parts: domestic airplanes and international airplanes. In international, we have Air India, and we have 7 international airports. I want you to find out the names of all the 7 international airports and write them down in your notebook: Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, Kolkata, Amritsar, Hyderabad, and Kerala. I repeat: Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, Kolkata, Amritsar, Hyderabad, Kerala. And we talk about domestic. In domestic, we have the Indian Airlines. We have alliance with the India, a subsidiary of Indian Airlines. We have helicopters, and we have many private scheduled and non-scheduled airlines. In helicopter, we have Pawan Hans Helicopter Services, which provides services to ONGC, especially for its offshore operations. Oil and Natural Gas Corporation. Uh, it takes us to inaccessible areas and difficult terrains like northeastern states. Forest relief, relief is like a physical feature, a difficult place. Borders, interior parts of Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, and Uttarakhand. Indian Airlines have extended their services to neighboring countries of South and Southeast Asia and the Middle East. Why do you think the air travel is preferred in the northeastern states? Because roadways and railways over there cannot be made easily, and not cannot be even made everywhere due to the obstacles and hurdles. There is also dense forest and broad rivers, and there is always a threat of flooding. So air transport is the only way you can travel. It's the most preferred method of traveling in the northeastern states. This is the Pawan Hans helicopter, and these are the major airports of our country. You just need to know those 7 for now. When we do the map work, see, I will show you all which ones are included. With this, I end today's class. I want you all to look at these maps very carefully. With this, I end today's class. Remember, your homework is finding out what special methods or promotion is being done in the northeastern states so that the common people can afford airlines over there or will use airlines over there. With this, children, I end today's class. Stay home, stay safe, take care, keep learning. Thank you.